Welcome, everybody. This is the October 15, 2025 meeting of the Freeport Project Review Board. We have 3 items on the agenda tonight, all design review certificate applications. And I want the record to reflect that at 4:30 today, we conducted a site walk at 15 Prout Road for the solar farm. In attendance were the 5 members of the Project Review Board who are here tonight. Town planner Kyle Drexler and Economic Development Officer Brett Richardson. The applicant, the landowner, and no members of the public or other abutters were in attendance. First item of business is info exchange.
Yeah. So I think the first item I might have offered out last time, but just in case it was close, the comprehensive plan was adopted by the town council on September 16th. So we'll take that off info exchange going forward. There's no more updates there, but obviously we're going to start working on some of the policy items at the planning board level. So we'll start chipping away at some of the low-hanging fruit and the high priority items. And so we'll start hearing about some of that more under item 2 going forward, which is a good segue into topics reviewed by the planning board this past month. So we looked at a design review building height exception for buildings on Depot Street. So this was meant to parallel the recent ordinance amendment that was adopted by the town council to allow 55-foot height buildings on Depot Street specifically. This was a quick addition into our design review ordinance while we're still working on the full design review update. That basically says when this board is reviewing projects, if there are any on Depot Street, building height won't be one of the design review criteria that we look at. The building height is only regulated by that maximum height allowance in the zoning ordinance. So if we do have any projects come forward before our design review ordinance update, we can talk about that more then. And then the other item the planning board has been discussing, we continued discussion on the commercial 1 and commercial 3 zoning district rezoning, upzoning discussion. So that's basically, just south of the downtown, all the way south along Route 1 to the town line. That whole corridor is commercial 1 and commercial 3 zoned. It falls within 2 different growth areas identified in our new comprehensive plan. In both cases, both growth areas called for, more redevelopment of housing and mixed-use development. So we're looking at making some changes there to increase density and make housing and other uses a little more feasible to build. So we'll have further updates as we progress on that. And then staff approvals, 2 small items. The Desert of Maine, staff approved a 189 square foot water tank building on site. So that falls under the 1,000 square foot allowance for town planner review. Code and planning staff didn't have any concerns or comments with that. And then also we had a staff review board meeting yesterday afternoon for a change of use at 2 Stonewood in the existing office building there to have a change of use from office space to daycare facility with no exterior changes. And that's it for info exchange.
Any questions for Kyle? As a matter of disclosure, I was the applicant on the daycare change of use. Next item is review and approval of the minutes from the September 17 meeting. Any changes or clarifications? Is there a motion to accept them as presented?
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Sharon.
I'm abstaining. I was not at the meeting.
Okay. Thank you. First item of business is the application for 32 Main Street, Sidney Pasquale, for a 7 by 2 foot sign on a commercial building just north of us here.
Yeah, so I'll give a brief overview and then Sydney, you can go up after. I'll keep it really brief because it's a pretty small application. So I'll just bring up what was included in the application. So the applicant's proposing a sign above the right side of the window on the facade, right next to Town Hall here on Grove Street. So under our design review ordinance currently, new signs are considered a material change and require board approval. There are 3 similar size signs directly next to this to the left on the same facade of the building. I don't think code enforcement has raised any concerns about the number of signs on the building. So, I mean, this will still have to get an actual sign permit after any approval from this board, but there were no initial concerns raised there. And then the second sign would typically be something that I would staff approve, but since we're already here, we can just mention it. In the existing signboard on the corner there, the business is also looking to replace one of the signs there with a similarly styled sign. So, Sydney, if you want to get up to the podium, you can add anything else, but turn it over to the board for questions after that.
Let us know your name and address, please.
My name is Sydney Pasquale. I reside at 12 Adams Way here in Freeport. Other than what Kyle has stated, I don't really have anything to add unless you have any questions.
And when are you going to start operation?
I am currently subletting the space and am to sign the lease with the landlords at the beginning of next month. The signs probably won't go up until December or January.
Great. Any questions for the applicant? Is there a motion?
Sure. I'd like to make the following motion. Be it ordered that the Freeport Project Review Board approve the printed findings of fact and design review certificate for Sydney Pasquale for the installation of 2 new signs at 32 Main Street, tax map 11, lot 124, application dated September 23, 2025, finding that it meets the standards of the Freeport Design Review Ordinance with the following conditions. 1, this approval incorporates by reference all supporting plans that amend the previously approved plans submitted by the applicant and their representatives at Project Review Board meetings and hearings on the subject application to the extent that they are not in conflict with other stated conditions.
Thank you.
And 2, the applicant obtain any applicable sign permits from the Freeport Codes Enforcement Office. Thank you.
Second.
All in favor of the motions presented? And Lynn?
Yes.
Unanimous. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, glad you're here. Next agenda item is 57 Bow Street. Chris D'Agostino for a renovation of the front facade of a building, addition of a mudroom and a 2-story garage.
So again, I'll give a brief overview here. I can bring up what was submitted in the application. So here's the original or existing house at 57 Bow Street. I'll bring up the rendering that the applicant provided. So, yep, they're looking for that connecting piece and then the addition of the garage with the 2nd story above it. Again, this is a Class B building in our design review ordinance. Any material change visible from the public right-of-way triggers the need for a design review certificate, so that's why we're here. So in addition to the new building addition, with the new door on the left facade as we're looking at this elevation, and then the new windows, transom windows above the garage, and then the 2nd-story windows, there is some renovation to the existing single-family home as well. The door is being replaced. Let's see the one proposed here versus the existing door. One of the, I think, few changes that's not being proposed to be replaced kind of like for like on the existing home is the existing side lights by the door currently, whereas the door that's being replaced does not have those, but instead has the glass within the door itself. The applicant stated that the windows size and style-wise are proposed to be similar or the same, as well as the windows on the addition matching the style of the existing house windows. We've proposed on the 1st floor of the addition clapboard siding with shake siding on the 2nd floor, a similar roof pitch, although a different style pitch on the addition as the existing home. There's the carport extension, and then also the applicant is proposing an additional second driveway up to the new proposed garage. From a zoning perspective, this would all be done through code enforcement, as it's a single-family home. So we're talking, building permits, not site plan review. So we're only looking at this from a design review perspective, not any sort of zoning dimensional requirements or anything like that. But at the same time, nothing immediately jumps out that would be a concern anyway. So with that, I would turn it over to the applicant for any additional detail.
So Chris D'Agostino will be at 57 Bow Street once we complete the work. And then I did have Brad Mall here too, who will be the builder we're working with on that, in case there's any questions related to that. So thanks for framing it up, Kyle. That was a good overview of what we're looking to do. Questions or, I guess, information you would need?
I had one clarifying question about the carport. There's a view with it, a view without it, and then the plan set shows it with a shed roof, and this appears to have more like a gable roof. So I'm wondering what the
Yeah, so
actual...
preferred would be with the carport on the side, and then we showed it without, just in case we needed the additional rendering for conversation.
So this rendering view is the correct one?
That would be the preferred proposal.
Any other questions? I'll share an opinion. We all have things that are of particular importance to us, and exterior grills on windows are something that is commonplace on Main Street. I don't think we would deny your project over this, but my understanding is that the windows you have, the Anderson 400 series, I think is only interior grills.
The interior, yes, they would look like grills from the street or from any kind of right of way as you look at those. But just preferred it. Actually, we have them in our home that we just left, and like that style, it allows you to keep them clean and access them differently than if they're integrated. But
Yeah, I'll just share that it's a personal preference. I think for some others on the board may feel this way. The exterior grills just give you a shadow line. It's just much more traditional looking than the clear glass, plane of glass on the outside. For what it's worth, I think it's a great looking plan.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we put a lot of work into it.
Is there any other questions? Is there a motion?
Sure. Here's the motion. Be it ordered that the Freeport Project Review Board approve the printed findings of fact and design review certificate for Chris D'Agostino for renovations to the exterior of the existing single-family home and the construction of a new two-story addition at 57 Bow Street, Tax Assessor Map 13, Lot 77, application dated September 24th, 2025, finding that it meets the standards of the Freeport Design Review Ordinance with the following conditions.
We get 2 minutes.
1, this approval incorporates by reference all supporting plans that amend the previously approved plans submitted by the applicant and their representative at the Project Review Board meetings and hearings on the subject application to the extent that they are not in conflict with other stated conditions. And 2, the applicant obtain any applicable permits from the Freeport Codes Enforcement Office and Public Works Department.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, Lynn? That's good.
Yes.
Good. Nice project.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Looks great.
See you later. Next item is Denny Block LLC for an after-the-fact approval for a door on the south-facing end of the building, which was where there used to be a window. Kyle?
Yep, so I'll keep this one brief. Staff came to staff's attention after the fact that the applicant had been working on this project. So then we noted to them the need for the design review certificate. So as Ford mentioned, here's front elevation of the Vineyard Vines building. The arrow calls out the work being done on the right side. The existing condition is the 2 windows. The kind of finished product and what's been done there now is the, wood and glass door, similar to what's on the building's front door. And some other buildings right in this area of Main Street also use very similar style doors. So again, this is a Class B building, so not only are you looking at the design of the building itself, but it's kind of relation to the surrounding area. But yeah, with that, I would, open it up to the board questions and any further overview from the applicant.
I don't know that we have any questions. Nate, any questions or comments?
I had one question. In that photo image, it looks like the height of the sill is quite a bit above the brick. Is there another step that's going to be built, intervening?
Al Yeba, we're one of the owners of the Denny Block. So we're going to need to come back and get approval for a ramp. It really depends on the use that we have for that space. We were out there today looking at, how that ramp is going to lay out. We think that we're going to probably have to take the lamp out and the planter so that we have the length. But yes, we're going to need to do a step and some sort of handicap access.
Okay, and I guess while you're looking at it, it appears on the right-hand side of the photo that there's a little metal rail. I don't know what the drop-off is over there, but if there's this step up and any sort of landing and ramp could be, have an impact on the guardrail height there.
Sure. The drop-off is about 4 feet.
Okay, then you would need a guardrail.
So one of the concepts that we're working with potentially is perhaps to extend a deck, wooden deck out, to increase the area outside, depending on the use, again, as to whether or not it can be tables, chairs, and to try to energize that area. It's not entirely clear right now exactly what that use would be, so I would anticipate coming back and talking about that. The building also, part of this will get a repaint and, clean up some of the older clapboards and so forth that need to be updated and, get the maintenance all prepared. So, typically, we're a little bit out of sequence here, as you know. And typically, we would have been in to talk about all of this before the door went in. But when Vineyard Vines did the extension of their lease and the construction, they segregated off all of the space along that quote-unquote the shed area. I hadn't been in there in 5 years. So while we had the window out, rather than to put the window back in and then have to take it out again to get back in and do work, we made a judgment to go ahead and install the door at this point. So I apologize that we wouldn't have, we really should have come in before that door was done, but we waited so long to get that door. It's been months, and just trying to get the right door and get the installation and the contractor queued up. It got us all out of sequence. So my fail on that one. But I think in the end, we're going to end up with that space that ultimately will tie into the restaurant below, so that they have access and signage on Main Street, but you can get to the restaurant without going down those granite stairs in inclement weather. That's the concept that we have. The original lease that was signed with the tenant had the tenant doing all of this work. But when it became impractical really to have them do this particular piece, we then took it over. And that's how we ultimately got a door going in before we had come to see you. So I apologize for that. I think it's the right concept, and, we need to maybe clean up the leasing and so forth on getting that finalized.
Thanks for raising that issue, Jason. Any other questions? I'll make a motion if the board will entertain it.
Yep.
Be it ordered, the Freeport Project Review Board approve the printed findings of fact and design review certificate for Denny Block Freeport LLC for an after-effect installation of a new door at 58 Main Street, acquisition map 11, lot 109, application dated September 24, 2025, finding that it meets the standards of the Freeport Design Review Ordinance with the following conditions. 1, this approval incorporates by reference all supporting plans that amend the previously approved plans submitted by the applicant, the representatives of the Project Review Board meetings and hearings on the subject application to the extent that they're not in conflict with other stated conditions. The applicant obtain any applicable after-the-fact permits from the Freeport Codes Enforcement Office. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, Lynn, thank you, Lynn. Unanimous?
Appreciate it.
Any other business?